Hello and welcome to this video. It was going to be a simple running video of a classic Southeastern and Chatham loco and coaches, but as I delved deeper into the storyline I found some fascinating social history facts that I just have to try and present you in an abridged form. So yes, there is train running and green screen work, but also the story behind the Hop Pickers specials. I hope you'll enjoy it. Hoppers were special trains that ran from London to Kent, carrying thousands of Londoners to the countryside to pick hops, the flowers of the hop plant. They are used primarily as a bittering, flavouring and stability agent in beer, to which, in addition to bitterness, they impart a floral, fruity or citrus flavour and aroma. The Southern Railway was running over 70 hopper specials from London Bridge for hop pickers and their families and friends, with some 35,000 travelling on Saturdays alone. This is where our story starts. We see an ex-Southeastern and Chatham C-Class in British Rail days, built in December 1900 and based variously at Tunbridge, Guildford, Bricklayers Arms, Gillingham and Nine Elms depots, heading an early morning departure. She would be scrapped in 1959 and is exactly the kind of loco entrusted to the Hoppers trains. She is teamed up with, appropriately, a rake of ex-Southeastern and Chatham birdcage stock in BR livery, including an extra luggage van that would be very much needed. Each summer farmers would send letters out to the regular pickers in London to invite them to come down to work. Once they had received their letter, people with jobs had to get time off. This often involved going to the doctor for a sick note, and to start preparing for the trip. Families would pack up food, crockery, clothing, bedding and everything possible to make their stay in Kent more comfortable. They would often take curtains to hang over the doors of the huts for privacy. They would get themselves to London Bridge Station to catch one of the special hopper trains. These trains ran at unusual hours so that they didn't interrupt main services. They often had to stop and wait for other passenger trains to pass through stations. The journey would usually take several hours. As our train progresses, you will see the sunlight of the new day on the countryside. The farmer's letter would include train tickets. When the day came, families would carry their hopping boxes to London Bridge Station so that they could catch the special hopper trains down to the farms in Kent. When the pickers arrived at the other end, farmers would send down wagons to collect them and their belongings and bring them to the farms. Pickers' huts were usually made out of tin, and they often arranged in a block so pickers could share washing, cooking facilities and a communal toilet. Faggot beds were made up using sticks and straw, and whole families shared one room for their 6-week stay. If 10 huts weren't available, pickers were sometimes accommodated in old animal sheds or tents. 2,000 Londoners arriving in a small Kent village for 6 weeks meant lots of preparations had to be made. If you add bad weather to the living conditions, it could be grim. At the end of the day, the tallyman came round to weigh what each family had picked, and the hops were taken off to the oast houses for drying by horse and cart. Our train is eventually shunted into a siding where the hoppers would have to jump out and be taken by lorry to the farms that would be their homes for some weeks to come. One young hopper wrote, "From the age of 6 to 11, when I lived in Walworth, I travelled by train with my mum, grandmother, 2 sisters and an aunt from London Bridge to Tonbridge, where we were met by the farmer, who took us by open back lorry to Golden Green near Paddock Wood. It was our annual holiday, and we stayed there for 3 weeks from late August, and Dad came down at the weekends. We stayed in huts on the farm with hundreds of other pickers. Once the train is in position, our busy loco has to collect a short transfer freight and take it on to the next yard before it can finally have a rest. There are some videos I highly recommend you to watch in the description box of this video and at the end screen. I hope you've enjoyed this fascinating story.